Hi, welcome to episode 46 of the Corner of Knit and Tea. This is Sunday, July 5th. I'm Laura, also known as Fluffy K on Ravelry, Fluffy Kira on Instagram and Twitter. I blog over at the corner of knitandtea.com, and that is where this episode and every episode's show notes will be. I have an Etsy shop called The Stash Buckler Adventures in Yarn, where I sell my hand-spun yarns and hand-woven scarves. And we have a Ravelry group called the Corner of Knit and Tea. I hope you'll come over and join us. So hello! I hope you've had a wonderful week and weekend. Here in the United States, we celebrated Independence Day yesterday, which is traditionally a day of barbecuing and grilling and hanging out with family and fireworks in the evening. And we live a little bit outside the city limits, and even though it's technically not legal, we had some fireworks of our own last night. And there is also not a commercial show, but a show put on by the town not too far from our house, and you can sit in the backyard and watch it, which is one of the things that I love about this house. We don't have to go anywhere on July 4th. So we grilled hamburgers for dinner, and we hung out, and we still have my nephew with us. He came on Tuesday, so it has been a busy week. Wes has been spending lots of one-on-one time with our nephew, and they played games, they flew remote-controlled airplanes, they went on some walks, they did all kinds of things, and then my in-laws showed up on Friday and stayed with us till this morning. And now the house is our own again, so we've just been enjoying a quiet day. We don't have any kids or pets, so having a 10-year-old for the past week has been been a little crazy, and both of us are enjoying the quiet house now. I think we're just going to hang out this afternoon. I have some laundry and chores to do. I would love to sit down and watch part of the Tour de France and spin, so I think that's on my list. And he's got some stuff saved up that he would really like to watch tonight, so we'll probably do that. And I think we're just going to enjoy the day. It is hot and humid outside, so we're going to stay inside in the air conditioning. But actually, yesterday's weather was perfect. It was warm during the day, but it was perfect in the evening. It was just really, really nice. So we've had a good weekend. And I'm less than enthused about going back to work this week, but we got to do that. That's how we support our hobbies. So that is what's going on here. I hope that if you're in the US, you enjoyed a wonderful Independence Day holiday. And if you're abroad, I hope you're having a good summer. So I will get into the show today. We stopped at Starbucks on our way home, so I have a Tazo iced passion tea from Starbucks today, and I know I've done that one before, but it was convenient, and then I didn't have to brew anything, so that is what I'm drinking today in my Tervis mug, which I love. So that is tasty and will keep me going this afternoon. I am not wearing any knitting because it is warm, and as you can see, I got a little sun yesterday, so I am just attempting to stay cool in the house today. So let's get into the show. I have lots to talk about and show you, and at the end I will announce the prizes for the Spring into Summer Knit Along. So let's get started. The only thing I finished this week is I talked last week about knitting a third pair of socks for Miss Roxy. These are, again, the toddler sock pattern that I was using, and these are hedgehog fibers in the leftover teacup colorway. This is the sock weight, and this is my third and final pair of socks for Miss Roxy for the moment. These came out just a smidge smaller than the others, so I'm hoping that they will fit. I had a feeling the others might be a little too big, so we will try these out and see how big her feet are. I think in the future I might have my sister measure her feet on a piece of paper, trace them and send them to me, because then I'll have an idea of how big to make the socks. But these are the third and final pair of Roxy socks, and I am excited to bring those to her when I go visit in a couple weeks. So to continue with the projects that I have been working on, last week I showed you my brand new cast on for the Love Wins Knit Along. This is a bunch of people were deciding to cast on new projects after the June 26th ruling from the Supreme Court of the United States that it was unconstitutional to deny anyone the right to marry. So I am working on the Zig-Zag scarf, which is by, hang on 2 seconds, Christy Cram, and I am using two shades of Noro Silk Garden sock. The colorways are S87 and I think it's 272. And these were the colorways I showed you last week. One is like a green, gray, turquoise, and one is a rainbow. And I had some time in the airport to work on this and have been snatching a few rows here and there. So I actually have made quite a bit of progress on this one. And I am loving the way the colors play together. Again, this isn't a project that has a specific deadline. I just really wanted to knit it, and this seemed like a good way to go. And like I said, it's super simple. It is a free pattern, and every row is exactly the same. So all you have to do is memorize the one row, and then you are good to go, and there's no worry about where you pick it up. And then you just knit 2 rows in each color, and then switch colors. So that is my Zig-Zag scarf so far, and I am loving it. And I made a few modifications because I am using sport weight and the pattern calls for fingering weight. I cast on a few less repeats, and I went up a needle size or 2, but all of those are on my Ravelry projects page. So this is my Love Wins project, and it did see a fair amount of progress this week because I think I was just in the yellow last week when I podcasted. So that is that one. Last week, I also showed you my next loopy project that I was going to cast on this week. That is the Wonderland Tank by Nicole Montgomery. And I was doing that in several shades of Woolmize. And actually what I thought I would show you, because it will actually be better than most of the other stuff I can show you, is after I podcasted last week, I think on Monday and Tuesday, Tuesday night, I knit my swatch. So the pattern actually calls for sport weight yarn, and I am using fingering weight, and these are the colors. Now, if you remember when I showed you the tank top, the bottom is one color and the top right around the shoulders is another color. So I made my swatch true to form, which is the brown, which is Woolmize Ebenholz, is the bottom, and the top will be Woolmize Fuchsia, and that is the pink there. And then between the bottom and the top, there is exactly like so, a bit of color work. And so I worked with my bits of color. The blue is Hortense, which is a forget-me-not blue. These are all Woolmize colorways. The orange is Kerbis, which is her kind of pumpkin-y, kind of a rich orange. And then the green is Misselzweig, and that is kind of a bright, almost spinachy. I guess Misselzweig is for mistletoe. I don't think it's quite as dark as mistletoe, but those are the colors that I picked, and I am super happy with the colors, although I will say that I may actually be moving around which colors are which part of the color work. So that was my swatch, and I knit that Tuesday night just to make sure that I liked the way all the colors went together, and I did. I blocked it and found my gauge. Thought I was going to have to do math on the pattern to adapt from fingering to sport weight, but actually I got gauge on this swatch. So I'm going ahead and knitting the size 37, which is the measurement of my upper bust, because it's kind of got a little bit of gathering up here, and then it's loose down at the bottom. So the pattern itself called for one to start knitting down at the bottom and knit all the way to the top. And I had a friend suggest to me that I might want to do a provisional cast on and cast on right around the bust and work the color work and the top pieces first to make sure that they fit, so that if I knit the whole tube up and then it doesn't fit, I don't have to rip all the way back down to the beginning. So what I did is I did a provisional cast on right about here, and I did about 5 or 6 rows of the brown, and then I went ahead and followed the instructions basically for where it splits for the sleeves and moves up the front and back. So having said that, it's going to be a little complicated to show off. As I said, I cast on for the several rows of Ebenholz, the brown, and then I went ahead and worked on the back piece. Now the back does not have color work, so this is the back. I finished one side of the back yesterday, and it's all kind of on the same needle, which is why it's a little hard to see. I finished one part of the back yesterday in the fuchsia, and this is coming out redder than this is a really true bright pink. And I am just about to finish the other side of the back of the tank top. And then I will come around and here I will work on the front of the tank top. And then I will pick up and work down for the body. So by next week, I hope to actually have the back section finished and the front section finished and have grafted the shoulders together so that I should be able to wear it to about here and see if it actually fits. I will have done the color work and the hard part, and then I will just basically knit to the hem. So by next week, there should be something very interesting to see. This week, it's a little twisted, but I hope that you get the idea of what it is that I'm doing. So, that is what I have been working on this week. I've put in some time on this. I really honestly haven't put in that much time. I worked on the cast on knit night. I worked on it a little bit on Friday and a little bit yesterday. But I have really been wanting to spin the last couple days that I've been home, so I've been spending most of my time on that. So I have one more thing just to show you. This was sort of an expected and unexpected cast on. Last night I needed something to knit during the fireworks and something for just hanging out outside, and I didn't have a roundy project. I probably could have taken the zigzag scarf, but I thought, no, I'll just leave that inside. So I decided to cast on a pair of socks for me. This you have seen. This is the Knitterly Things Vesper in the Isla colorway. I knit that cute pair of socks for Roxy with the slipped stitches. That is the Vanilla Bean pattern by Emily O'Grady, and it is a free pattern on Ravelry. So I cast on the toe last night and got through the first repeat of the pattern. And mine are going to look exactly like Roxy's, minus the fact that they're much bigger for my feet. So I didn't get super far into that, but I wanted to cast on a pair of socks for this month because I am also trying to knit some for the Socket Summer Knit Along going on in Amanda's group. She is so nitpicky, and she does Not Another Podcast, and actually I think she's Wit on Ravelry, but her group is under Not Another Podcast, and she does Socket to Summer every summer, and I am hoping to knit a pair of socks for myself. So these, I don't know when they'll be done. I'm not anticipating anytime soon, but I thought I would get some projects on my needles that I can work on in my free time. My main focus this month will be the tank top because I've got to get that done for Camp Loopy, but all these other projects are just when I want to pick up and have something to knit. I have a little bit of variety of things to knit, and I don't expect to cast on anything new until I am at least done with the tank top. So you should be seeing these 3 projects quite a bit in the next few weeks. So that brings me to spinning, which is what I am planning to do a lot of in the next 3 weeks. Yesterday, on July 4th, the Tour de France kicked off in Utrecht, which I think is in Germany. I didn't actually get to watch yesterday because we had a house full of people and nobody was interested in the race but me. But I paid for, we don't have cable anymore. Usually they stream it on, or they air it on NBC Sports. And they do the full live event in the morning, and then they show smaller recaps throughout the day, and that is what we used to watch. But since we do not have cable anymore, I went ahead and paid for a streaming pass, and it is through NBC Sports, and it's $30 for unlimited streaming access for the 3 weeks. So I am hoping to sit down this afternoon and stream day 2, but I will show you what I have been working on because I have been doing lots of spinning. Last week, I told you that I was in the middle of spinning a braid from 2If by hand. It was some Polworth, and it was in the colorway Moon Pie, and I have finished and plied that, and it is here. And this one is gorgeous. It is kind of a neon pink and a bright turquoise and some yellows, and you can see a little bit of yellows there, and then grays, and it is bright and fun. I mean, it is somewhat more muted. They're not as rich, intense colors as some of the ones that I spin, but it is also not pastels in any shade or form. It is really, let me look for a good spot where you can, it's really got some bits of kind of almost a neon highlighter pink, and then it's got a few bits of kind of a neon highlighter yellow, and like I said, the turquoise, and it is just a really, really, really fun braid. This is Polworth. I expected it to poof a little bit more than it did, but it didn't. It was a slightly heavy braid, and I think I've probably got between 325 and 350 yards of a sport to fingering weight yarn. This will be going up in the shop this evening. So if you are interested, all the details will be there. I just need to finish weighing and photographing. But that is what I finished this past week. Last week, I showed you a braid of Hello Yarn Merino Black Silk in the Waterweed colorway, and I told you I was planning to spin a sweater quantity of that one for the tour. And I spun the first braid already. I spun it in fairly long color repeats, so I basically broke the braid in half and spun it straight through. What I am hoping for is that I will get some kind of longer stripes on my sweater. I am going to, I have 5 braids, and so I am going to spin 1 and 2, 3 and 4, and then 5, and I'll probably ply the first 4 into 2 big 8-ounce skeins. So basically this is the first bobbin. I will spin another bobbin, and then I'll probably ply them together into a big skein on the mini spinner. So this is one of what is to come. I'm trying to show, it's really not showing all the colors. It's got a bunch of different shades of green, some navy blue, some lighter blues, and then there's also, and you can't see it on the bobbin because it's buried underneath, but there is also some teal, some sections of black, and a few lighter sections of whitish gray. So this is going to be super pretty. I'm very excited about this one. Given that I have finished this bobbin and I am waiting to finish another bobbin of this one, I decided to pull out something new, a single braid, just to put on the wheel and to kind of break the monotony of one braid, although that one just kept changing colors and I loved spinning it. The one that I picked out for today is one that will be going in the shop. This is Southern Cross Fiber. It is his South African superfine merino, and this is the blend that I absolutely love. I spun a variety of braids and it is probably my favorite blend of his. It is absolutely the softest thing I have ever spun. Absolutely. And it spins beautifully, it drafts beautifully, and it puffs up at the end and is so amazingly soft. I think I told David of Southern Cross Fiber that I would like to line my coffin in this because it is so amazing. This is a braid, mostly pales of lavenders and periwinkles and a little bit of peach and tan, but it also has a couple spots like right there where it's got some dark purple and almost a little bit of red, and I am enjoying those little spots. I think this will make a very pretty, very soft, both in terms of fiber and color braid, and I'm looking forward to spinning this. Again, this will be in the shop, and I will definitely have this one done by the time I see you next. I'm hoping to get at least half of it spun today, if not more, and have it done by midweek. So I'm very, very serious about my tour spinning. I like to start and finish a braid every couple days. So, and this is not a sustainable pace, and it's also why you will see quite a bit of the same knitting projects because I do not get a lot of knitting done in July, but I really take the tour as an excuse to ignore everything else and sit and spin as much as my back and legs will take during the day. So that is the one that I am going to spin next. So that brings me to the end of my adventures this week, which means it is time for the prizes for the Spring into Summer Knit Along. I left that open till the morning of July 1st and then locked the thread. We had, we went up to post 94, which means there were 93 entries, the first post being mine. And I love looking through and seeing everything that you made that was springy and summery. We had some beautiful finished objects. And thank you so much for participating. And I will be looking for ideas for another knit along. I think we'll probably take July off. And then I don't even know about August because people will be possibly traveling. So maybe in the September, October range, we'll do some kind of fall knit along. And then I was hoping to do the Christmas knit along like I did last year, basically calling it a gift along, anything that you knit for someone else that's a gift. And it can be a holiday gift or not a holiday gift. So that's kind of what I'm thinking for the rest of the year. But for this one, I went ahead and drew the, used random number generator to draw the 2 prize winners. I ran it 2 through 94. The first prize is a skein of Lorna's Laces, and it is the Soulmate, which is 55% superwash merino, 15% nylon, 30% Outlast viscose, and it was my prize from Camp Loopy. They still do this colorway because I saw that it was actually in stock, but back when I got it, it was exclusive. It is a Camp Loopy Blue Skies over Colorado. And the winner of this was post number 11, RSISLAND, which is Robin. And she made a gelato giraffe with a bright green springy sweater. So Robin, this is yours. Please contact me on Ravelry to send me your shipping address, and I will get this out to you this week. The second prize was a braid of Maud and Me, which is, I don't know if she's still dying. I don't think so. She was dying. She was an American living in New Zealand for, New Zealand, I think. Yes, New Zealand, for several years. And she dyed all kinds of New Zealand fibers. This is called Arms Aloft, and it is on New Zealand Polworth. It is a generous braid of 150 grams, 5.3 ounces. And the lucky winner for this is post number 80, which is Tokyo City Girl, Jacqueline. She knit a light and lacy shawl. Jacqueline, you have won the braid. If you would like to spin it yourself, please contact me either way because I will need your address. If you would like to spin the braid yourself, I will go ahead and send you the braid. If you would like me to spin it for you, please let me know and I will put it on my wheel next after the Southern Cross Fiber, and we'll get it done and out to you within a week or two. So those are the prizes. Again, thank you all for participating, and I appreciate the support and am happy to have hosted a knit along in my group. And I plan to host more in the future, so have no fear if you didn't win this time. There will be other things. Talking about events coming up, I mentioned last episode that my 1-year podcast anniversary was coming up. I was a little bit early on that one. I thought I started recording in July, but I went back and looked, and my first episode was actually August 3rd, which this year will be on Monday. So I will be recording an episode on Sunday, August 2nd, and you can plan that there will be some kind of a prize drawing or celebration or something giveaway in that episode. And I checked this morning and I am at 498 subscribers on YouTube, which is very, very exciting. It means I'll cross 500 soon. And I think I'm just going to go ahead and roll it all into the anniversary episode. I'll just do multiple prizes on there. But I'm super excited about that. And I just wanted to take a moment and say again how thankful I am that you all stop by and hang out with me each week. And I just love getting to know you, and I love sharing what I'm working on and hearing all your comments. And I just want to thank you so much for that. It's so exciting to have a whole bunch of new friends and such a wonderful community. So that is what I have for you today. I feel like I rushed through it all, but I hope it wasn't too quick for you. I will say, as I always do, I hope you have a wonderful week. And happy knitting, happy spinning, happy sipping, and I will see you next time. Bye.